will be in our open final, the last thing on the card tonight. All right, our shearers are starting to move back towards the board. Our referee is up there somewhere, probably in a pen, talking to one of the shearers and making sure that everything's right. All right, shearers, let's have you back on the board, please. Can we have the referee there? Our board referee.
Green light.
We have the green light from the timekeepers. We just need the referee to make sure these shearers are finished and back on the board, please. Can we have them all back, Philip? Make sure they're ready, then we route out. All right, we're just about ready. Stand 2 to come out, please. Darin Forde and, of course, Angus Moore from Ward. Let's have you back on the board. So there we have it. James Fagan down there on stand 6. Tony Costa on 5. Nathan Stratford on 4. Jason Wynn on 3. Darin Forde on 2. And Angus Moore on 1. It looks like they're all happy. All right, Philip. Okay, the timekeeper's ready. Judges ready. Competitors, get set, go. 3 of these merinos. Out they come. Then it'll be 3 Corridales. Then, of course, 3 full-wool crossbreds. 3 second year, and to round it off, John McBride, 3 lambs. We've seen this for many, many years, and this PGG Wrightson's National is a true test of a great shearer, that's for sure.
Well, it certainly is. It's had a name change or 2 over the years, but it goes back a long way, this one. And the multi-breed section, and it looks like it's 1 North Islander against 5 South Islanders. Oh, Norm, you've got to be happy with this, by golly. Angus Moore for Ward, the young fella. He top qualified into this event. There, Darin Forde, the all workhorse on stand number 2 from down on the deep south. Jason Wynn, the young fella from up on the west coast now. He's loving this. He was out having a look at the merinos before. He says, I can handle these things, no trouble. It's sunshining where I come from, he says. Nathan Stratford from Invercargill. He's a very high quality shearer as he rocks around the back of the head and down towards the first shoulder. Look, a very dark, dirty grey fleece on top. Open it up and out comes the inky pinky white. And there's a beautiful looking fleece too on all these merinos. Tony Costa, the pressure's on him, last to qualify for this final. He knows he wants to keep that Wrightson vehicle out the front. He'll love it for the next 12 months if he can. Down the last side he comes, and he's put the pressure on all these young fellas, boy collie. He says, I've got to go for the doctor this time. And the only North Island in the field, the pocket rocket, Jimmy Fagan from Tikawiti down there on the far end. He was really trying. He made a good job of the semi-final. But he's now got his work out in front of him. And a very quick hand from the young man. Look at him streaking down that last side. But there's still Tony Costa, Norm, as he leads us into sheep number 2 in the merino.
Yes, you did right. Tony Costa off to a very good start. Just what he would have wanted in this big final. He's made this one his own the last couple of years. And thank you, John, for mentioning there was 5 South Island shearers in there. I didn't think you guys were going to do that. Go the South. Out on the board, back Darin Forde. Jason Wynn's right there as well. But our sole North Islander down there, Jimmy Fagan, he's going to be a very strong challenge to Tony Costa's title. Off for the belly. He's right up there with Costa again this time. Tony started with a good sheep, but I'm not so sure this one's quite so flash. James Fagan, he's got the pick of the bunch. Up the undermine he goes. Top knot comes off the wee man down there on stand number 6. He's a fabulous merino shearer and a fantastic all-breed shearer. Up the neck he winds. Breaks it open into the base of the ear. Look at him working his way around those wrinkles, ladies and gentlemen. Takes a lot of doing. He's got to navigate around the horn and the eye and the ear as he works around the back of the head. Jason Wynn, speedster on stand number 3 from Reefton. Back of the head comes off there. Stratty, the man on stand 4 from Invercargill. Head comes off, head wool comes off there. He'll pop up the neck. He's got to work his way up round the wrinkles. Darin Forde's already done that on stand number 2. Also from Invercargill as he winds his way into the first front shoulder. Angus Moore had a great share in the semi-finals. Really deserved to be here. Up round the back of the head he goes. Steps through and up the neck. But it's James Fagan and Tony Costa as well. Right there, neck and neck. Tony Costa might just be a blow in front. Nothing in it between these two shearers though. Last front shoulder for these guys. Win and Forde next in line on the long blow. Well, Phil, this is going to be a real battle, I think, between 5 and 6 on these wrinkly Merinos.
Well, it looks like they're all lining up. They had a little bit of an early break there from Tony, and then maybe a catch-up from James. But look at Nathan Stratford and Jason Wynn and Darren Forde, and we can't never count Angus Moore out because he comes from that Merino country. In goes James Fagan, got the lead, brings out his third Merino. Ooh, he'll be happy to get this one away. Is it a good one? You never know till you open them up, though. That's the trouble. Back onto the board comes Tony Costa. Who's going to go in next? PGG Wrightson's national title. Jason Wynn it is from Reefton. Back onto the board with his third Merino. Then they'll start getting into the Corridales. Now it looks like it might be Darren Forde down here on stand number 2 from Lawnville. Nathan Stratford from Invercargill on stand number 4. Right out onto the back hockey goes, and then he'll pop for the next one. That'll be sheep number 3 for him of the Merinos, and then he'll be able to get onto the Corridales. Angus Moore from Ward. Maybe just had a couple of little bit that held him up, I think, John. Is that the case? Because he's usually a very good Merino shearer.
Well, it just depends on the run of the sheep as they come up the chute and into the pens. Some, can be just a little bit different. A little bit tighter, a bit more wrinkly, but just watching the styles of our shearers down on 5 on 6, the experience of Tony Costa, a very slow, methodical hand, puts the blow in and makes it count. Young Jimmy Fagan, well, he fires them in pretty quick, comes back for a little bit, he left on, but he rocks up now, just very quick hand for young Jimmy Fagan as opposed to the big, stronger Tony Costa, just gently gliding along there. Look at him up that long blow, see him hardly moving, but he's trying to fill that comb up and keep above the skin and not make any second cuts to the wall. So you notice up top we're taking out the outside points, so we've got a spare column there with nothing in it. That is to keep it a secret from everybody who's actually won it. Down over the last side now comes Jim Fagan. On the far end, down and out to the flank for, he's stroking along. The pressure's on from the middle of the field as well. Here comes Nathan Stratford, hot on the heels of Tony Costa. Right there is our man Jason Wynn from Reefton across the top shoulder as well. Here comes Darren Forde, not too far behind. He's the real wizard. He knows how to blast out sheep. Jimmy Fagan, though, first to go in for the long wools. Out they come. They're just as woolly, but maybe a little bit flatter in the wrinkle. These sheep are being well farmed by Bagshot. Look at him. Down the belly he goes. Tony Costa steps into the pen now. Nathan Stratford changes the hampies. Don't think Tony changed that time round as our man from Reefton steps into the pen. He gets a change of steel. Darren Forde just 2 blows away. Over the last side now comes the man on the front stand, Angus Moore. Right down here, number 1, rocking over the shoulder. I don't know how he shears with that hunk of bone round his neck, but it's his good luck charm and he's right in amongst it. He's had a good shear, he has to say, previous. Down under the shoulder he comes, stroking it off this big weather. Out the last leg, he rocks the leg and shakes the timber on it, but it's Jimmy Fagan down the far end, Norm. He's put the hammer down.
He certainly has. He's pairing into it, the big fella down there. He's only knee-high to a grasshopper, but he's all heart, that man. He's got a huge ticker. Right out to the toe he goes on the last side. Jimmy Fagan from Tikawiti, our only North Islander in there. Did I mention that already? And he goes for the next one. James Fagan. Tony Costa coming down over the last front shoulder. Nathan Stratford. He's caught him up as well. Last side for Nathan Stratford as well. Just struggling to see the sheep number there. Right out to the toe he goes. Stratty. Got a quick hand too, that man. Very, very clean though. Very well-known quality man. Down over the last front shoulder. Forde and Wynn on stands 2 and 3. Having a real battle of their own. Dropping down into the flank. Darren Forde. Well-known speedster in the sheds. One of the fastest men to ever walk the face of the earth. Out comes Costa. Current champion. Into the belly he goes. But James Fagan's away around through the first front shoulder on sheep number 5. Out comes 5 for Darren Forde and Jason Wynn. 5 already on the board for Nathan Stratford. He's having a good shear, this man. He's a very good all-breed shearer as well. He can shear anything. Up round the back of the head. Couple of blows in it. Here goes Tony Costa. Top knot comes off. Up the neck. Snaps it open and into the base of the ear, but James Fagan down over the last front shoulder. He comes, the big man from Tikawiti down there on stand number 6. Out to the toe, under the leg. Dropping down into the flank now, Phil. Having a good share, the wee fella down there on stand 6.
Yeah, he is indeed, as he heads back in for the third of his Corridales, and then he'll get on to the crossbreds, the long wools, the second share, and the lambs. A little way to go yet. One more Corridale, and out it comes onto the board, and he just reaches in and pulls it back out. No trouble at all. Now we got Nathan Stratford has moved up through the field. Right out onto the back hock, and we know how good a crossbred here he is, so he's got one more of these Corridales. He should be able to handle that, no trouble. Oh, Tony Costa coming back at him, though. Wee bit of trouble getting that sock off for Nathan Stratford. In goes Costa, the reigning champion. Jason Wynn comes on to the last side, but Darren Forde starting to make a move, John McBride. This man just won't give up, will he? He won't lie down. He's retired. I don't know how many times. He keeps coming back for a bit of fun.
Well, it's all about love of the sport, isn't it? As I say, once you've been a shearer, you're always a shearer. Just the smell of the wool, you like to pick up a handpiece and get in and help out. And here he is helping out himself here. If he can make the top shot on this event, he'll be more than pleased with himself as he drops down towards the first shoulder, swings it round. He's right down into the long blow now, right hard on the heels of Nathan Stratford and Tony Costa. Out comes Angus Moore with another one, sheep number 6 for him. James Fagan, though, still in front as he turns down the last side. Jason Wynn up over the tail. He goes. He's got sheep number 6 on the board. A third, Sean, steps up the neck now, opens it up for the judge to peer in as Jimmy Fagan reaches in and rolls another one through the door. Tony Costa out the last leg, and Nathan Stratford, and here on stand 2, Darren Forde comes down the last side and he steps into the pen ahead of Tony Costa, who's got a change of handpieces this time. Up back the road, up the backbone comes Angus Moore. It's a big flat road for now. They're just going to get a little bit bumpy for him as he tries to wind in for sheep number 7. Down the last side he comes. Jimmy Fagan round the back of the head. Sheep number 7, half shorn for him. Over the shoulder on the last side, it's going to be your Jason Wynn. He's trailing the field at the moment. Who's next in line? Moores goes in for sheep number 7 and changes the handpiece, but the pressure coming on Jimmy Fagan as the old workhorse. Darren Forde starts to wind into it. Norman, here comes young Stratty down on stand number 4 as well.
Yeah, Nathan Stratford, he's sticking it in there, but Darren Forde, he's moving up on the field right there on stand number 2 though. Invercargill man, the man from the deep south. He's got that Southland suntan on his arms there. Right out to the toe he goes. He's the man you want to be watching, ladies and gentlemen, I think, as he works his way down the last side. In goes Nathan Stratford. He's the first man in. Darren Forde, Jimmy Fagan. Nothing between these 3 shearers. James Fagan back out onto the board with sheep number 8. There goes Forde's 8 sheep on the board as well. But Nathan Stratford, he just moved out in front by a blow or 2. Into the first hind leg he punches. Big sliding blows up the undermine. Top knot will come off very shortly. Angus Moore, the young fella from Ward, he gets stronger as the field goes on as well. You'll see him move up a wee bit. Sheep number 7 it is on the board for Angus, still low as he drops down into the flank on the last side. Jason Wynn from Reefton, right there as well, into the flank he goes. In goes Angus Moore. Jason Wynn not far away, but it's still Nathan Stratford. Oh, no, it's not. It's James Fagan as he turns for the last cheek. Right down over the last front shoulder he goes. Nathan Stratford chasing hard. Darren Forde, though, don't leave that man out. He's the one we used to look at on the DB poster where they shrunk one of his arms. Some people reckon they built the other one up, but they shrunk one of his arms with a computer before they put it on the poster. Has to pull the head through. Bit of a struggle. Sheep number 9 coming out now, Phil, for Nathan Stratford. And Jimmy Fagan and Darren Forde.
We've got 3 of them in line, and they look at him. James Fagan's had a bit of a hurry up. This is number 9 for him. So the end of the big woolies. It'll be into the second shear in the lambs. But Nathan Stratford can shear all of them as well as Darren Forde, of course. Down over the last front shoulder comes Angus Moore looking for his 9th sheep. Jason Wynn from Reefton comes round the long blow. Tony Costa gets in for number 9. He's back onto the board, the last of his long wool. But the pace is all here on stand number 4, I think, along with stand 6 and indeed stand 2. 2, 4, 6, that's the way. Round the long blow. Who's first? It looks like it's the pocket rocket down here on stand number 6. James Fagan, he wants this really, really bad. He's been in this final a few times. Oh, the man from Reefton, Jason Wynn, changes a handpiece and he goes for another one of these long wools back onto the board. But Nathan Stratford's got it. Oh, Darren Forde jumps into the lead. They change a handpiece for the second shear. 2, 4, 6. They're all neck and neck, John McBride. Look at them. This is a battle we didn't expect, I don't think.
Well, I think you North Islanders start getting a little bit of support behind young James Fagan down there. He's there by himself on number 6. He's had a little bit of trouble with a couple of sheep, but he's back up on the top again. Look at him go. Steps up the neck and round the side of the cheek. Back of the head comes off from the first shoulder, the long blow. That's how it goes, just as quick as I can talk. He's doing the business down there on stand number 6. Here comes Stratty now. He's got a new blade on as well. Oh, the old master. Look at him turn it off here, them down in the deep south. Darin Forde on too. Comes across the shoulder on the last side. I think he might have reeled in Fagan on this one. Darin's got a smaller sheep as he comes down the last side and burns off the last leg. 1 to go down the hole. Equally Jimmy Fagan right there. Is youth going to hold today, or is it the experience of Darin Forde? Angus Moore comes up the top on his first, second shear. Here comes Jason Wynn as well. He's let the brakes off. Tony Costa comes to the top of the shoulder. He's got the second shear on the board. He comes across now and works his way down the last side as Jimmy Fagan pounds around the back of the head. Here comes old Master Forde, though. Look at him go. It's not a model Forde, it's a Master Forde here on stand number 2 against Jimmy Fagan. The pocket rocket down on stand 6. Fagan back in front, Norm.
He's back in front, right down over the last front shoulder. The wee fella goes. Darin Forde right there with him. Forde and Fagan, Fagan and Forde. How many times have we heard those two names ring out of the golden shears? Doesn't matter which Fagan or which Forde it is. There's been a lot of them over there. In goes James Fagan. Sheep number 12 on the board. This is the last of the second shear for him. Last of the second shear for Darin. Having a wee bit of trouble getting that out the hole. In the pen he goes. He backs out with 12. But James Fagan punches his way into the first hind leg. Drives a couple of big blows up the undermine. He's heading for the head already. Forde with the belly off. Where's everyone else? Angus Moore steps up the neck. Jason Wynn round the back of the head. Nathan Stratford, another shot, and he'll be in for sheep number 12. Tony Costa, last side time for him. Don't count that man out. He's probably never finished first here in this PGG round, but he's walked away with the title twice. So you can't leave him out of it. Right out to the toe he goes. He's not too far away, but Jimmy Fagan might even pick him up if he carries on like he's going now. He might get one round him. Under the leg. In goes Tony Costa for his last second share. But it's the Lamb's going to come out on the board for the Tikawiti man down there, Phil.
Yeah, and I think he likes him as well. We'll find out. He pops in for the first of the Lambs, and they look as big as the second shear. Away down the belly he goes. Oh, a little bit tight on that belly, so he just readjusts it. Now, who's going to be next in? Darin Forde from Lawnville down in the deep south. He's in for the first of those Lambs, and he knows how to handle these big lambs, because they've always got big lambs down south, I believe, bigger than anywhere else in the world. Way down the belly he goes. Up the neck comes Angus Moore. Into the first front shoulder is Jason Wynn from Reefton on the last of his second year. Nathan Stratford from Invercargill getting ready to go in for the Lambs as well. Very good shearing by this man from the deep south. And we've got, let me see, Tony Costa underneath the last front leg on stand number 5. But it's still this man, James Fagan from Tikawiti, on stand number 6, and he's down the last front shoulder. Look at him underneath that leg. Oh, it struggles a little bit. Darin Forde is not far away from him. There's a couple of sheep left in the pen. 15 competition sheep they have to shear, and they're on 13. And Darin Forde comes back at James Fagan. It's all on. Come on, cheer them on. King Country versus Southland. That's what it's turned out to be. Back onto the board they come with 14, and James Fagan rattles it off, Johnny.
Yeah, he's trying hard, old Darin Forde. He's a very cunning. He had a very nice lamb, that first one, and this one looks even better. Around the back of the head and down to the last side. Look at Nathan Stratford still trying to stay with the pace on stand number 4. Tony Costa into the long blow on his first lamb. Working hard. Keep an eye on those scores up there. Tony's still scoring well. It's the lowest score that counts, and Tony turns down over the top now. James Fagan turns down over the last side of sheep in front of him. Here comes Nathan Stratford, the belly off. Jason Wynn turns for home on sheep number, 12, 13. Here comes a change of handpiece for Angus Moore, out with another lamb. Look at him go. Here comes Nathan Stratford up the neck, but Darin Forde out the last lead. Jimmy Fagan's got another one on the board. 15th and final, is it? Down the belly he goes. First off leg coming off just like that. Tony Costa's got 14 the belly off. Nathan Stratford's got one in the pen. Likewise Jason Wynn. But it's Darin Forde, the only one with any chance, can wind him in. It's Jimmy Fagan from Tigawitty. I might have to call him Sir James if he wins this one. He's up the long blow now. Rocking it on, the big fella. He's got a massive heart as he comes down the last side, North. I'll let you bring him home, the North Islander.
Hold the phone. James Fagan down over the last side. He comes. Another couple of shots. He'll be punching into the flank. Darren Forde turns for the cheek very shortly. There he is, round onto the cheek as well.
Tigawitty!
Oh, he's got a bit of a struggler though. James Fagan, give him a hand, ladies and gentlemen, as he hits the red button. What a battle on all these breeds of sheep. What a spectacle. And Darren Forde, another couple of shots. Here he is, right out over the toe and under the last leg. 1, 2, 3, red button time as well for Darren Forde. Give the Southern man a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's not all over yet, and as a young man from Invercargill, Nathan Stratford, he's hung on to their shirt tails all the way through, and he's just the last side behind Forde. Down over the last front shoulder he comes. He's in with a chance. If you're in the first 3 places in time, it usually helps. However, quality's all that important too. Right out onto the back hock. And this little lamb kicks its back foot, says, I want to go home and get into bed. Right out onto the back hockey tidies. Nathan Stratford from Invercargill. He'll reach for the button. There he goes. Give him a big hand. It's really good shearing. Who's going to be next? We got a bit of a 3-way battle going on here. It's a man from Reefton in the middle. Tony Costa from Rakaya.
Here comes one.
Angus Moore on stand number 1 away down the last side. They come, look at them blow for blow. Come on, egg them on. One of these could still win it. They're not that far away. They're all north. Reefton, then Moore from Maud. Oh, a kicker for Tony Costa, the reigning champion. Has he done enough to retain that car? Who knows? He's had it for 2 years. He wants it another. Give them a hand, ladies and gentlemen. The PGG Wrightsons National Circuit Final, and they'll remain on the stage. And in just a few moments, they'll find out just who it is. That's the national champion for 2012. John, that was we've seen a lot of these finals for PGG Wrightsons. I'd have to say that's one of the closest in the finishing stages.
Well, it makes it easy for us guys to go to work, doesn't it? Excellent stuff, and you just keep an eye on those scores. You'll see the totals come up there in the yellow. That will not be the complete score. We are holding back the outside points. So there is the outside judging to come into consideration. And we will have that prize giving. Craig Cooper is going to be coming on deck in a minute. So just a little bit of music and we will welcome on Craig.
Just 2 more events to go for the afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, after this prize giving to the PGG Wrightsons National Champion. And that, of course, is the Open Wool Handling Final, the Golden Shears Open Wool Handling Final. Normally at night time, they've moved it forward into the afternoon to allow the World Wool Handling Final to take place. And to round it off, of course, the Golden Shears Open Shearing Semi-Final to find out who will be the finalists in that last event tonight. As always, the Golden Shears Championship is just revered all around the world. So these 6 shearers, they can just pop their handpieces down the just down the side there if they like, and back straight up onto the board, because Craig Cooper is about to come up onto the stage to do your presentation. And as you can well imagine, a very, very sought after title, this particular title.
Test 1, 2. Test. Number three.
And once again, our presentation team swings into action, and within minutes we've got it all set up and ready to go, which allows Craig to bring those sponsors up onto the board.
1, 2.
Can we have those finalists back up on the stage, please? Those finalists.
I'm going to do the presentation.
two lots of two events to present, and then you're after that. Okay. Yes, full handling, and then you're after this, the national circuit, full handling, and then you.
Right, okay.
John.
Yes, just a quick announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Our World Blade Shearing finalists. The Golden Shears World Blade Shearing finalists. That will be final will be this evening in order of qualification. Mayanziki Sweeney from South Africa. Mike McConnell, New Zealand. Zawili Wheelie Hans from South Africa. Brian Thompson, New Zealand. Gareth Owen, Wales, and William Craig, Scotland. Well done to those competitors. Congratulations, our top blade shearers. They will shear off this evening.
So we come to our presentation, ladies and gentlemen, as our MC, Mr. Craig Cooper, goes up with a representative of PGG Wrightson's. Craig, welcome back up onto the stage for this very important presentation.
Thank you, Phil. Yes, huge competition, this one. This really finds the most experienced, the most professional all-round shearer. You've just seen them shear 4 different types of sheep and made it look very easy, and believe me, it's not. To make this presentation, Duncan Fletcher, the Wairarapa Tasman Regional Manager for PGG Wrightson. Great to have you here, Duncan.
Thanks, Craig. PGG Wrightson are proud to be associated with the Golden Shears and equally proud to sponsor the national circuit. This is the 10th year now we've sponsored this event and just recently signed on for another 3 years, so we're wrapped with the event. Just finally, this is obviously the culmination of 5 previous events around the country, and I'd just like to thank the organisers and the volunteers that have helped through the 5 events. Without you guys, we wouldn't have the great event that we have, so thanks very much.
Duncan, we love it when a sponsor stands up here and says, yep, we're here for another 3 years. Great news. Thank you very much. The PGG Wrightson National Shearing Champion will receive $1,800, will be a member of the New Zealand team to Australia, will take away the McSkimming Memorial Trophy, and will have a 12-month free lease of a Hyundai Santa Fe. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the National Shearing Circuit goes to...
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Angus Moore!
I'm picking the smile says it all.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. What to say? Thanks very much, guys. It's a hard battle. Didn't think I had any chance last year and I came second, so this year I sort of put a bit more effort into it and did a bit of background work and stuff, so I'm really stoked to come off with a win. Big thank you to my fiancée, Ratabu, who most of you know. My parents for coming up every year and supporting me, and my family who they make the big trip up from the south every year and come around a few of the South Island shows and see me also. Just all the friends and family that are here, all the Heidegger boys and that have helped me throughout my career with the gear and stuff. Roland, Sammy Welch, Chris Jones, Jeff Holmes and that, and a big apology if I forgot anybody, but a bit fuzzy at the moment, and looking forward to representing my country. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good day.
Second place receives $800. Please congratulate
Darren Forde.
Third place getter takes away $500.
Nathan Stratford.
In fourth place, taking away $400. Congratulate.
Ladies and gentlemen, James Fagan.
Fifth place, $400 goes to.
Tony Coster.
And in sixth place, and $400 also.
Jason Wynn.
And the Godfrey Bowen Memorial Trophy is awarded to the shearer in this final with the best quality points.
Ladies and gentlemen, that would have to go to Mr. Angus Moore with 20.200.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, haven't you said enough yet, Angus?
I thought I might forget somebody. I'd just like to thank the big man up in the sky for bringing us all here safely and blessing me with the skills to share. Thanks very much.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Angus Moore and the other finalists. Thank you, gentlemen. I'll now ask Shelley Reynolds to join me, please. We move on to the Coopers North Island Open Wool Handling Circuit Final. And here to make this presentation, I welcome Shelley Reynolds, the brand manager for Coopers.
Hi, it's been a great couple of days for Coopers being here after a wee while. We haven't been part of this. We will be back next year because it's been such a great event. And I'd like to thank the organisers, the volunteers, the audience and all the contestants who have done an awesome job to get here today.
Thank you, Shelley. The winner of the North Island Open Wool Handling Circuit receives $700 with points 141.6. Please congratulate Cherie Alabaster from Taihape. Well, Cherie, I heard you say that's a shock.
Yeah, it sure was. I'd just like to thank the sponsors very much for the prize money and all the shows around the North Island that allow us to come and compete at them, and to all the other competitors. And thank you very much to Golden Shears for holding it here too. Cheers.
Second place, $400 and points 150.2. Karen Herbert from Te Awamutu. In third place, taking away $250, Ronnie Goss from Kimbolton. And in fourth place, taking away $200, Dallas Mihare from Dannyville. Give them a hand as they leave the board, ladies and gentlemen. Cherie Alabaster, Cooper's North Island Open Wool Handling Champion. Can I now ask Philip Morrison and Casey Artridge to join me, please? This next presentation is the Alistair Simpson Memorial Trophy. which is awarded for outstanding services to the Golden Shears. Philip Morrison is going to speak to this presentation, but we have Casey Artledge here, who is actually Alistair Simpson's daughter, so it's a pleasure to have her here to make this presentation. Over to you, Philip.
Thank you, Craig. This trophy has been donated by the Simpson family in honour of Alistair Simpson, who judged here for many years in the 70s and early 80s. It's awarded to a judge or an official who has been associated with the Shears in honour of Alistair. This year I'd like to call on Willie Buick as the recipient to come and receive the trophy and for Casey to present it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. John Fagan, can you join me now, please? John Fagan, President of Shearing Sport New Zealand, here to make a presentation of which he will explain.
Thank you, Craig. Firstly, thank you to Golden Shears Committee for giving us this time to present this award. Shearing Sports New Zealand had at their AGM last August voted on a new life member, Mr. Hugh McCarroll. And I'd like Mr. Hugh McCarroll to join me up here, please. Shearing Sports was founded in the early 70s by another life member, Mr. Robin Kidd. I think Robin's out there somewhere. And later on in the 90s, that was called the National Committee at that time, and later on in the 90s, it was called Shearing Sports New Zealand. Hugh has literally given a lifetime to our sport. In 1967, he won the intermediate here at Golden Shears. He's been a shearing judge for 34 years. In 24 of those 34 years, he's been the examiner for his region. He's been 21 years as a delegate on our committee. In 15 of those years, he was North Island chairman. And also our delegate on World Council. Thank you, Hugh. 13 years at that. He's currently our executive officer for Spark, which is now called Sport New Zealand, where we get some of our funding. He's also on our website and competitor drugs testing committee. So you can see Hugh's input to our sport is huge. And most of all, he's our New Zealand team manager this year, here for World Champs. I'd just like to say personally, I've worked with Hugh for a long time. His pleasant nature and strong character, he's been a pleasure to work with. So on behalf of Shearing Sports New Zealand, I'd like you to accept this badge. Thank you, Hugh.
Well, thanks very much, John. It's a huge honour, and I'm very proud to receive this life membership along with Robin Kidd. The association goes back a long time. This Golden Shears institution, it becomes part of your life, and it certainly has mine. I had the pleasure of attending the first Golden Shears in 61 and 62. Had a break for 4 years, came back in 67, and I have been every year since. I just can't stay away, so love the place. Shearing sports are built on an enormous number of volunteers, and I'm just one of those volunteers. I never went seeking any of this sort of thing, but it just happens as you go along the way, and It's been a great ride. Met some tremendous people on the way. Made many friends all over the world, and none more so than this man next to me here, who's one of those volunteers who puts in an enormous amount of work also for Shearing Sports. And so I thank the Shearing Sports very much indeed for the award. I thank my wife. She's my greatest critic, but she's also my biggest support. So all I can say is it's been a great ride. Thanks very much.
And now can I ask our President, Mavis Mullins, to join me, please? Hey, we're allowed to do that, but I don't know about you guys. One of the really important things that Golden Shears thinks is important is recognising just what Hugh was talking about, the volunteers that actually make the show happen every year. And there's been many that have been doing it for many, many years. And at this time, we like to recognise people who have been involved for 10 years, and we award them with a badge to recognise those 10 years. We have 3 recipients here, Jackie Kopua, Helen Walker and Audrey Tamanui Nunn. Can they come up to receive their 10-year badges and our thank you for what they have done for Golden Shears over the years. So just another example of the many, many volunteers who have spent so many years here making Golden Shears happen. Mavis, don't go away, please. I'd now like to ask Mr. Lyle Ray, Arthur Rundle and Greg Herrick to come up here, please. As you're all aware, this is not just the Golden Shears this year. It's a world championship. It's the Golden Shears World Championship. And we'd like to take this opportunity to recognise and thank the executive of the World Council, and we have a small presentation to make to them. So Lyle Ray, the retiring President of the World Council, Greg Herrick, the incoming President of the World Council, and Arthur Rundle, the man who makes it all happen, the Secretary of the World Council. Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you here. And finally, we have one more presentation that we'd like to make. And as far as Golden Shears are concerned, this is the most important one. So can we ask our Secretary, Angeline Calhoun, to come down here, please? They might have to drag her out of the office because that's where she's the most comfortable. But Angeline, please, down here. You all know, because you've all been involved in events like this, invariably there is one person who actually makes sure all the boxes get ticked and everything happens when it's meant to happen and as it's meant to happen, and that's our Angeline. Give her a big cheer, ladies and gentlemen. She's done a fantastic job. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now more action.
Well, we're certainly back. It's